Okay, guys, so you're on. So, assuming that you are speaking to the entire CSG via me, so I am Anando, and first of all, congratulations, तुम लोग तो फोड़ दिए हो, as I would say back in my Delhi University days. So, why don't you guys go ahead and just start introducing each other?
Okay, so let's start with our team leader Arunava.
Hi.
Hey,
Yeah, so he started IGEM in IISC pretty much. He is the guy who wanted us to participate, assimilated the team, and proceeded from there on.
cool.
And from there onwards, I am Prabaha. This is Abhijeet. Hello. This is Aishwariya.
Hey,
And this is Shreyas.
the pizza
And this
guy.
is Dr. Sreenath. He
Sreenath.
was our instructor.
Oh, I know Sreenath. I couldn't even recognize him. I thought he was. Hey Sreenath, how are you?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Surviving.
Okay.
So great.
Yeah.
It's funny. I didn't even realize.
I think the
when
video is
was-
getting slightly distorted.
I know.
But-
I know. I think there is some problem with my internet here. So. Right. So all of you got introduced.
Which is
So now
Yeah.
tell me about your, about the journey. Like, how did it all started? Like, how did Arunava came with this idea, and like, how did this thing got the impetus from IISC? And I know in Arpan, right? Arnab, who was that guy? Arpan's post.
Yeah.
He mentioned Sreenath very highly. So I just wanted to know, like, what are the roles of the entire team? Like, how it all happened till you reached Boston.
So Arunava, speak.
Yeah, so the way it happened was by the end of our first semester at IISC, like during the break time, I decided to read up a bit. And when I was bored back at home, I tried looking up stuff on YouTube, and I came across a documentary-ish thing from Imperial College London about their participation in 2011 in IGEM. And then I looked up what IGEM was, and it was pretty cool. As in, like, you could actually do stuff with what you knew. And the point is that the multiple problems do exist in real life, and this was an opportunity for us to actually try out doing something about it, a particular issue, and not just speak in the blank air.
Very nice. So and so that was like back when, like last year,
That was 1.5 years ago.
1.5 years ago.
And conversation started in his room one day where he was like, ये देख कुछ मिल गया. And we came and watched a couple of IGEM videos.
Yeah.
Like करना चाहिए हमें भी. And
Right.
like उसको लगा कि हम यूज है तो क्या है, हम भी कुछ achieve कर सकते हैं.
Yeah.
And so was there any team before you guys, like from India, who was participating in IGEM?
From India, there was IIT Madras. NCBS before that, actually.
Cool.
National Biological Sciences. There was IIT Madras, there was IIT Delhi, and there was IIT Kharagpur. SRM, VIT.
Go, cool. So you were the first one from ISC to, you
Yeah.
decided that let's give it a try.
Yeah, this was December 2014.
Very nice. And then,
And then we started to discuss different ideas as to like what kind of thing we would do. So there were some teams, for example, that tried to make dyes from E. coli. There were some other teams that were trying to diagnose or detect the presence of some pathogens in water, and so on and so forth. Different ideas existed. So then our job was to actually sit down and decide on what we actually wanted to do. And so the challenge essentially with regard to choosing the idea is that it has to be something that has some impact and something that we can work on, and be something that can be completed within a summer as such, because the time frame that we have is about from the beginning of May, or in our case end of May, depending upon where you are, till about the end of October, or mid-October as it turns out. So we had to finish everything within that time frame in actual lab work.
right. So when did that aha moment came? Like when was that idea first generated? The conception.
The conception was, we were looking into ideas all the way from about January 2015 till about February 2016. And on the way, we discarded lots, about 60 to 70 ideas easily in terms of their non feasibility, somewhere abrupt. Like there was one about trying to dig tunnels using fungi, mad things.
Right. And who were guiding you through through all this journey? Like,
That was mostly our instructors, sometimes professors, but primarily our instructors who guided us around. And
In addition to that, there were two people from NCBS who helped us out. One was Chaitra. She was part of IIT Madras team.
2010 and
Yeah,
11.
2000, and they won a gold. And another guy was Sachit. He was from IISER Pune, currently doing his PhD in NCBS. So both of these people kind of helped us troubleshoot our ideas and helped us through our meetings come up with the idea. They found flaws with it and they sat with us and helped us come up with new ideas and rejected the bad ones, and they were part of the formation of
I
the
see.
team. Yeah.
Great. And so then when did finally the idea crystallize? Like, when did you realize that, oh, now I think we got something which we can build?
It was when basically by February 2016 we had about 5 ideas with us, which in theory looked something that could be done. In practice as well, like we knew that the lab work for it was something that we could probably do. And among the 5, we basically decided to focus on one arbitrarily. I mean, all 5 of them were acceptable, but just went with one of them. And that was our final idea. So that crystallized out mostly during February of 2016 and March of 2016, when we actually sat down and started writing our grant proposals. So even before writing the grant proposals, we had to convince 3 people, in terms of 3 people that our idea had any weight to it, who were Professor D.N. Rao, who was back then the chairman of the Division of Biological Sciences. There was Professor Umesh Varshney, who was the Dean of Undergraduate Program, and there was Professor Deepak Saini, who worked to some degree on synthetic biology for completely different questions, but in the field. So all 3 of them had to be satisfied in terms of the idea and how we were going to go through it. So that took a significant amount of effort, and that happened during March and April. And after we managed to actually convince them through, they so the undergraduate program was the first to give us the registration fees of $5,000 for IGEM. And after that, by then we had started to write all our grant proposals. We wrote the one to IBEC, which is Indian Bioengineering Competition, which is a pre-IGEM competition, a grant proposal competition. And so we wrote for that and got 10 lakh rupees. Then we had written a grant proposal for Welcome DBT, travel allowance, and that gave us 6 lakh rupees. And much later in July, we had a presentation to Government of Karnataka Department of Biotechnology. So that gave us another 6 lakh rupees.
Man, you guys should become a consultant for grant writing. So how did you manage to get so many grants? So what was the key thing? Like, who were helping you, or how did you? Because grant writing is not easy, right? It's one of the most. It's one of the challenging things in
So our first
academia.
So our first grant, what happened is, we cooked up something and it was then proofread by our professors, our PIs, and also our instructors. They told that, okay, change this, add this, the detail is not enough, add a model, add proper diagrams, you have written too many things, make it concise and all. So we gave them a bulk and they edited it and made it presentable. So practically, like, we already had the material, but we didn't have.
Right. So you got a great, looks like you got great mentorship from the institute.
Yeah, of
So,
course. The institute helped us a lot. And secondly, what happened is the next two grants, Welcome DBT and Government of Karnataka, we pretty much owe it to more to the instructors than to us because we did write it, but the information about it and the process that we had to follow to ensure that we get the grant, those tracks were pretty much the track that we treaded on was what they told us to do. And even when we went and presented to government of Karnataka, a lot of convincing the people was done by our professors. I mean, we presented, we told that this is what we are doing, but then we didn't know the technicalities of pitching our idea.
right.
That is where we got help. Our idea was good, but we didn't know how to convince people that it was good.
Right.
So our professors helped us out in that area. So yeah, we did get grants, but it's not because of us only. I mean, our professors helped us out.
Oh, that's great. I mean, that's great. So from this part of this entire journey from 2014 to, let's say, to from the and to the point where you guys started getting the grants. So when was there any pre-selection for the IGEM thing, or you just have to, like, what was the selection to IGEM? Like, that happened before the grant.
Yeah, so Abhijeet will answer that.
Yeah, so there was no selection as per for IGEM. The only criteria is that you should be able to pay the registration fees, which is a lot, which is for which you have to get grants, and that is kind of a
That's the
proxy
challenge.
for selection itself.
Got it. So
Yeah.
that's where the
So
challenge.
if you are able to get money based on your idea, and if you're able to sell it properly, that is kind of a proxy for a selection that is required in IGEM.
Great. I'll just ask Sreenath. Sreenath, looks like these guys are big fan of yours. So what has been your experience through, guiding them in this process?
Well, as an instructor, I can say that they have come up with the ideas. My job is to do the patchwork because of the lab experience. So I have to tell the direction, I have to just modify a few things, and they get primed and they continue.
Very nice. And so what was your experience as a mentor, like dealing with these guys? How were they?
In every aspect, they were really good and competent. So this was their first scientific outing, which we have already gone through a number of times. So it's a big learning thing for them. The best thing I think is they have gelled like a good team. They know their plus point, negative points, and they have utilized it to get the project forward. So that's a big learning for them.
Right. And as a mentor, what did you learn?
Oh, I've been learning with the UG students more and more than what I did in PhD and postdoc.
Right. Absolutely. Great.
Yeah.
So coming to the teamwork and leadership. So how did you gel? Like, what was your strategy of teamwork?
Okay, as a teamwork, I think I was a massacre of the project. So posed by Arunava, he will come up and like within 2 minutes I say it's done. It's not possible, and he will go back and he will come back again. So that was the plus point, that he never let it take into his heart that he's been massacred. Every time he was coming with new, and then I used to ask them to read again and again, because literature is very important. They have realized it now. Literature survey.
Right.
With that only they get to know how good is their project. So
Great.
what they have got now is actually a applicable kind of work they have got.
Right. Oh, and that brings me down. So, what's your plan with once? Do you plan to commercialize whatever your conception or the invention is, or what do you think, or do you want to leave it at this stage of competition, or do you want to commercialize it?
I have given some suggestions which I think one of the students can summarize.
Yes. So the plan for now is that, okay, so the system basically works as, if you have a particular protein that you wish to express, then the cells grow, they detect the cell density and produce it on their own without any external inducer, and then the cells aggregate together with a particular signal trigger and settle down. That's basically what's going on with the idea itself.
Technology. Okay.
But so what we need to do is to like further improve and characterize the system in terms of how well it aggregates down, and our preliminary plans were essentially that lots of high schools in India they do not have centrifuges, they do not have uh, expensive reagents
Resources, yeah.
like reagents and resources like IPTG and so on and so forth. So this could be a really good chassis for biology experiments in high schools, wherein if they wish to produce a particular protein, say for whatever reason, say for example high school team from India participating in IGEM, which would be really really good. Taiwan does that extremely well, for example. So for such situations, I think our chassis would be really good, and we're probably looking more toward that right now.
Yeah, and so we have two different modules. We haven't yet looked into the crosstalk between these two modules, which has to be finalized. And there are many things that need a bit of sandpaper and polishing. So when those things are ready, I think our system can be used in multiple purposes. I mean, we initially aimed it for bioreactors, which certainly it can work for, but we discovered that there are many small things that it can help out. I mean, it looks small from a distance, but it can be really helpful.
I mean, speaking to the different IGEM teams in this particular year, a very large number of them would actually benefit from using the system we have, and that would so our methodology, our project is essentially some sort of a methodology that would simplify several other projects, because cell separation is a very general requirement of
And
many
making
projects.
the life easy of researcher.
Obviously,
Yeah, I mean-
as in like you just put your cells and nap for 24 hours and come back.
I mean, yeah, every
Done.
PhD could use that, right?
Right.
Right, absolutely. So coming down to the next thing which I want to know. So, you guys met so many other teams from all over the world. So what has been
Yeah.
your experience? What did you learn? What did you like about those teams? And like, how was your interaction? And was, like in general, like, did you network with people? Did you meet faculties?
Actually, while you're talking about networks, let's pass it over to the guy who actually did discuss networks with someone.
Okay.
You go, Abhijeet.
Yeah, so few days back, a friend of mine had like talked to me about a book, and I had actually read that book, and I bored him by saying a lot about that book, and told him that the author of this guy is the author of this book is the living god of networks and all. And so coincidentally, in this IGEM only, I met a postdoc of his, and I bored him a lot and made him take me to his lab and meet that guy. So in fact today only I spent about 6 to 7 hours in his lab. I attended his lab meetings. I attended his class. I attended that guy's class.
Awesome.
I interacted with him a lot. Like, came to know a lot about the ongoing projects and all. And like, I'm planning to work a bit in this winter with one of his postdocs.
Awesome. That's
Yeah,
great.
so-
And but in general, like when you are meeting
Yeah,
with
so-
other people around the world, or people who are coming from different countries. So what did you like about them, or what was your experience in general?
So I particularly liked about the way the other teams had done the project. So they showed it, they presented it in a very enthusiastic manner, and presented it as if they had a lot of fun doing the whole thing, which I think we lacked somewhere. But I think Aishwariya will talk more about.
Yeah,
this
I think
one.
Aishwariya can focus more on the excitement part because she's the most excited member of our group.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing is that from what I saw, most of the teams treated it as like this fun experience,
Right.
So then some lab work that you did through the summer, and there were people printing out various things and handing it out, printing out badges and handing it out to people, wearing matching costumes for the team, things like that. So that's it. I think it's part of the spirit of the whole thing. That is one thing. Another thing was many like huge universities kind of collaborated and formed a huge joint IGEM team. So that way they were able to accomplish a lot more. And the size of the team was much, much larger. Most of the teams that did really well were at least thrice as big as ours. That was another thing.
Yeah, that is an important point she raised. We were discussing after IGEM, all of us like Shreyas, Arunava, Abhijeet, I and Aishwariya, we were discussing how we can actually make the state of IGEM in India and IISc better, because what we noticed is that all the teams that did any work, that was, all the ideas were good, but then each idea needs a lot of processing for proper implementation, and that generally is not possible by a limited number of people, a small number of undergrads who are somewhat inexperienced in a lab, who have a lot of passion for science, but they haven't treaded these paths enough to take a shortcut, to take a path that will lead them to their destination. All the successful teams had an extremely active set of PIs, firstly, like four or five professors, some 7-8 PhD students who already have like some thousands of failed PCR jails in their account, so they won't repeat those mistakes again. And then they have some but like a whole army of undergrads who will do the job for them. I mean, undergrads are the workforce, right? So what we needed was, we had the workforce, but we didn't have the proper direction. Most of the times we were just walking around the bush and trying to find a way. And our PCRs failed for 1.5 months. And we were like, what the hell is going on? But consider a PhD student whose PCRs have failed for 1.5 years. In that case, I mean, he would have told that, acha, machine badlo hoga, theek ho jayega. So I think next year what we'll try is, we'll try to increase the crosstalk between different levels of science and scientists, and involve a lot more UG students and PhDs and PIs, and maybe even other colleges across India. That might make us more
Yeah,
successful.
absolutely. I mean, across India and within Bangalore, I mean, there is JNC, there is NCVS, like there is a huge opportunity for collaboration within institutes or within Bangalore institutes. But like so, and so we are like somewhere at 21 minutes, and I will end it very. So, what will be your so let's say, what will be your take-home message, and what will be your next goal? Like, where do you want to go after IGM? What's your idea? What's your ambitions? What do you want to, achieve after this?
Yeah. So I think Shreyas will be the best person to
Yes,
tell you
Shreyas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Prabaha said, one thing is that I guess since the labs will be closed till December, we're not really planning on lab work until that time. But till then, we thought we'd mail a bunch of who we think are like possible PIs or who could help us coordinate for next year, and we'd also thought we'd mail a bunch about the other universities joining us or a possible collaboration already till December. And after December, we have a couple of hypotheses actually about, like, novel hypotheses about the systems we worked on. So we thought we might do some characterizations of those, because the data we have is actually small. So, but it fitted very well with what we expected. So we thought that firstly, maybe you could get, maybe this is an actual novel discovery. Like, only if we have enough data can we say that. So we thought we'd do those, like some pilot experiments for the system itself. Like Arunava said, the system being implemented in schools, we needed to do some pilot experiments to verify that in around December. That is the timeline right now. And another thing is, I guess personally we'll all be kind of busy. At least the third years will become fourth years, and we'll start our projects. So we'll probably try to get all this done before we get into starting our own projects.
Awesome.
And they scope to publish also.
Awesome. Sreenath, do you want to conclude something, and then I will basically ask every one of you, like, what's your
Yeah.
ambition? But Sreenath, as a mentor and from this experience, like, what will you take home from this entire experience?
What I see is that they can actually do few more experiments and publish the data.
Got it. Great. And in general, like, what will be the strategy for the next year's UGs? Or like, who are going to come for the IGEM?
Okay, for next year they have already narrowed down to 2 projects, and they are doing the literature survey, and they are coming up with the refining and how they want to proceed with the ideas. So 2 round of interaction has been done already. So we have to narrow down to 1, and its feasibility. Probably once these students go back and they will tell to them, so now they have seen what's actually happening here. So their input will be very good for them.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. So guys, we keep talking about this 1 minute pitch. Give us 1 minute pitch, every one of you, where do you want to go after IISc? Or where do you see yourself after IISc in a minute? So we will have 5 minutes and we'll end the interview. So Abhijeet.
Yeah, so after ISC, doesn't matter where I go, I just want to do a good level of science, and I think that will satisfy me.
Great. Okay. Prabaha.
Yeah, so I suppose none of our answers will be very different. I mean, because what we are currently aiming for is to land up in some place where we'll end up having a very independent and very successful PhD, and then we'll think about our next step. So all we want now is to be in a lab where we'll enjoy the next 5 years of our PhD.
That's fine.
That's all.
Awesome. Shreyas.
Yeah, so I was very confused when I joined ISC about what I wanted to do. So I kind of still am. So in another year, I just I'm sure about what I want to do next. It's a master's or a PhD. Yeah,
Yeah,
if that's,
believe me.
I think the big decision is off my plate.
Oh, don't worry. Confusion will stay. Don't worry. for some more years to come.
That's
Aishwariya.
So, considering I'm still in my third semester, I haven't even chosen my major yet. So, what I say will probably be a little light. I think my interest lies somewhere in biology. I think my first order of business will be to try and figure out, where in biology, at least, to some degree. And then eventually, I guess, master's or PhD, whichever. But when I think about it, I want to do something that's different from the traditional, PhD, postdoc, professor thing. But yeah, let's see how it goes.
Cool. Arunava.
Two things. One is like I'm actually a chemistry major, as it turns out. So either some biomimetic chemistry or batteries. That would be one side of things. Another thing that I would be rather interested in is mentoring and helping out future IISc IGEM teams with regard to what they are to do, because IGEM is not just about science, it's also about marketing, and that is something that is not very clearly stated to us before we get into IGEM and go through it. So that
Awesome. But I just realized I should ask the last question. So, what do you think? How can CSG be more useful for IISc, UGs, and PhDs? How do we get, their years?
you can start off.
Yeah, start off with Shreyas. He generally has strong opinions about how we should do things.
Okay, so one thing was actually like since Prabaha contacted CSG or was contacted. I'm not really sure how it exactly worked, but you guys found each other. But after that, like
Yeah, me too.
it was quite late. But our project was actually like the initial aim was applying it in industry, and a lot of you guys are in industry. So at every step of the way, if we actually had your constant input about whether this was feasible, it would have been apparently for IGEM this counts for a lot. Firstly, because the finalist, one of the finalist teams we saw, Sydney, Australia, their project was about food spoilage, and they met the heads of three different large fruit vendors, and those people they got like the summary of what was the requirement, what was the brief requirement from them, and they got their project approved by them as well. So apparently this seal of approval from the industry means a lot, especially if your project is going to be applied at an industrial scale. That is one big thing, and like a lot of these IGEM projects are aimed at industry, so we could definitely use your help there. And another thing is just general doubts. If we don't know things, there are some things about the industry that were very hard to find from the literature. Like Arunava spent the last 3 days trying to find out what media is used in commercial large bioreactors. So these sort of things we thought we could ask you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole idea, and I think I kept bugging Prabaha for a long time that you guys, it's interactive, and you guys should also interact, because unless there is an bi-directional interaction, nobody gets to gets the benefit of each other, right? For alumni here, or for postdocs here, their benefit is they get to see the future, the present IIScians. They get to see and hear the bright guys, talking about their dreams and aspirations, which is actually a beneficial thing for, the alumni here. And it keeps them rooted with the institute, which I think is great. And for you guys, it is up to you that how and how much to extract from the huge resources which alumni have built up over the years, right? And so that's I think the whole idea of any alumni association, be it CSG or be it ANA or whatever it may be. But I think you guys should also be very proactive in reaching out. And so my idea, and I would suggest, is that just don't feel awkward, don't feel shy. Alumni are your birthright. Pester them.
Yeah, evidently, like we did pester you enough. I hope. Like, were you dissatisfied with our pestering?
No. As you can see, this has become my main hobby. Everything has become secondary. So I am not the best guy to judge that whether are you dissatisfied or am I angry. So this has become my life. Sreenath, you were saying something?
Yeah. So as you raised the point of alumni, so having Gajendra as well as Kushagra at the airport, and they helped us out within say half a day to settle down here. So that's a big advantage for a bunch of students coming, irrespective whether an instructor comes or not. So it will help them to settle down very quickly in a given city.
Absolutely, and that was the whole idea of CSG. Like as you develop interactions, this entire 4,000 people, they are like spread everywhere across US or Europe, and you can use this entire resource. And the most important thing I feel is the credibility. You cannot reach out to anybody, but here because in some ways this was started with IIScians, there is a huge IISc network and there is a huge credibility towards it. So you should always be ready to just use that credibility, use that huge resource, and I'm sure people will be very helpful. But the only way you can do it is, and that's one of the good things of one of the things which I find very very powerful about this social media is that even if we are separated with a huge distance, but the social media in some way, because it is interactive, you can get to some level of familiarity, and that can be helpful not only at this stage, but when you come here for PhD or anywhere, or when you are looking for a great postdoctoral position, when you are looking for a job, when you are looking for a reference or anything, like any kind of support. I think that hopefully in future these kind of platforms will become very, very powerful, and that's the hope. But anyways, guys, very good. Thank you very much for the time, and it's been great to see you, Sreenath. Very happy.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, okay, good luck and congrats.
Okay, thanks a lot to see you.
So I should see the entire team. Just move it around. So Aishwariya and Arunava. Yeah.
So here's Abhijeet.
Yeah.
Sreenath and Shreyas.
Great.
And here's Arunava, if she's visible, I can't see. Yeah. And Aishwariya.
Very great. And I need to thank actually Selvaraj, because Selvaraj was one of the main guys who actually started this thing. Like,
yeah, he started it.
He has been one of the main pillars of this entire thing, along with Kushagra. So thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to them.
Gave the idea of starting this fund for IGEM and
I remember Richa, who is also not even she's not even a part of IISc, but she was so excited, and I think that's very cool about this platform. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Great seeing you.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.